Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Live's Week 7 post-game show. I am your host, Kevin Knight, joined possibly by a few other guests here as time goes on. Apologies for the delay today. The YouTube streaming server was not cooperating, so I apologize for that. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get the hamsters running in the right direction here, but thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that the Falcons keep finding new and exciting ways to blow leads, to blow football games. Obviously, the lead wasn't huge, and it was, delivered at the very end of the game. But it has to be pretty concerning for this team that the same issues keep occurring over and over again every single week, it seems like, except for last week. So last week was a little bit of a nice change from the usual, devastating blown lead type situation, but they did it again, so clearly it's not all Quinn's fault that this team is bad, but as I cautioned over the course of the week, Dirk Koetter's offense doesn't always look so good if it's not playing bottom trash bin tier defenses, and the Lions certainly aren't great on defense, but they are better than Minnesota, and like clockwork, the Falcons' offense struggled. They were not nearly as sharp in the passing game until late in the game. The running game was a complete disaster until late in the game, and it's pretty dark out there if you're a Falcons fan to once again be forced to deal with a loss of this caliber, another blown lead where the Falcons were, projected to have over a 95% chance to win the game. Once again, we are out here discussing a loss that this team should have had locked up, and you can try to get on Todd Gurley's case, I guess, for what he was up to, but I mean, to me, I just don't see it. I think, for being totally honest, that I don't necessarily blame Todd Gurley for scoring there because, look, let's just be honest. This is a guy that every bone in his body is telling him to score, and it's really hard to not do that. It's difficult, and I just don't really know what to say. I have a hard time really blaming Gurley for something like that. But if the Falcons don't score there and they burn off some more time on that clock, maybe it does work out okay, but they didn't, and it didn't work out okay, and now we're dealing with, once again, another disastrous loss for this team, and I'm kind of out of ways to describe all this nonsense. It's just I just don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't know how you can continue blowing it on this level. And I don't know how this sort of situation can continue week to week. I guess I just don't know what else to say. Sorry, folks. The chat box from last week, it was not working correctly, so I think I fixed that. All right, so you now should be able to see your chat, and if anyone does subscribe or tip or do that sort of thing, that should show up too. Apologies that wasn't 100% implemented. I think I forgot to set it up for the solo screen and not for the usual screen where we have guests, but yeah, I mean, if you guys have questions, make sure to put those in the chat. You can tag at the Falcoholic. That'll help me see them. And if you have particularly burning questions, now you can actually tip the stream, and that will cause the question to really show up for me to where I can't possibly ignore it. Obviously, I'm going to try to answer as many as I can, but on game days it gets kind of busy, so I'm just throwing that out there as an option if you guys want to support the show. But where to start with the problems? There's a lot of them. To me, the biggest issue is that the run game was a disaster against a defense that is really bad against the run, and that's a big indictment of a lot of things. I think in a lot of ways the offensive line was not doing enough in terms of run blocking, but it should have been better. I mean, this is a Detroit Lions defense that gives up over 4.9 yards per carry. They were giving up the 29th most rushing yards in the NFL, and the Falcons could barely move the ball on the ground against them until like that last drive. I mean, it's ridiculous. And Abixis, thank you once again for subscribing. We really appreciate that, guys. So I just, like, to me, you have to be able to get pushed with the run game. And if you can't get pushed with the run game against a bad run defense, when can you get pushed? That to me is a major question there. And JL Hunt, thank you as well for subscribing, man. We really appreciate that. So to me, failure to execute in the run game until it was very, very late. That's a big issue. Moving on from that, another significant issue is that the play calling was boring. I mean, it wasn't good. It basically, the Falcons offense kept getting bailed out by just tremendous plays. So we saw Hayden Hurst make a couple of great plays. That's awesome. We saw Ridley make a couple of crazy plays. Witten Delect, thank you for subscribing as well, man. Really appreciate that. We saw Julio make some key plays. You know, this team was able to convert in key situations due to some spectacular plays, but Koetter was just, I mean, he was leaving his guys out to dry. Like, there was very little help schematically speaking from Koetter. And the Lions defense, while they're bad against the run, they're not bad against the pass. This is the 15th, ranked pass defense. So they're pretty average there. And this is my big problem with Dirk Koetter, is when the offense just doesn't completely outclass the defense in terms of talent. The scheme is a big issue. I mean, it holds this team back. Zoltan Palotai, thank you for subscribing, man. Appreciate you. So I just we see this consistently. I mean, like, go back to the Packers game. The Packers are not a good defense. They were allowing, a ton of yards per play through the air, but overall they were, kind of just below average to average in terms of defense. And Koetter's offense looked completely inept, like it wasn't capable of doing anything. And then when you get this team up against the Cowboys, who are way worse than the Falcons on defense, it's hard to say that, but it's true. And then the Vikings, two bottom of the barrel defenses, then of course the offense looks great, because just about any offense in the league is going to crush those teams. But it's just, this team has too much talent. I mean, it's obvious from top to bottom that the Falcons have an enormous amount of talent, particularly on the offensive side, and to see it squandered to the tune of like 22 points against a below average overall defense, it's not good enough. It pretty clearly just not good enough. And I mean, you could definitely question, some of the decision making, like the 4th and 5, should they have taken the field goal or not? I was pretty split on the decision at the time, so I don't want to go back and, obviously with the gift of hindsight, we know that those 3 points would have, been the difference in the game, but we don't have that gift now, so we can't really. I want to be fair and say that I think that was kind of a toss-up decision, and it ended up biting them. It does sometimes, but you take away some of these things that were big issues. You take away some of the blown officiating calls, which were abundant in this game. I mean, the refs spotted Detroit at least 4 points in terms of that completely bogus roughing the passer call. That was maybe the worst roughing the passer call I've seen this year. It's just, like, I don't know. Like, what do you want AJ Terrell to do? He's half the size of Matt Stafford. Do you want this man to, like, just stop trying to tackle him? I mean, it's ridiculous to me. Yeah. I mean, Jawal Washington, like, I don't disagree with you. Like you take the points. Like, it was 4th and 5. Like, this was not a 4th and 1 situation, so the chances of making it were a lot lower. So yeah, I mean, I think you can definitely lean towards the field goal there. The score situation where the Falcons were up by just 1, technically the field goal makes it a touchdown game, obviously, instead of a field goal game. But I think Raheem Morris has the right instincts, and that he knows he can't trust the defense to get a stop, which was correct. But the offense also screwed up. So it is what it is. Trey Mendez, what brew today? I actually made it's called a apple cider mule. So it's 1 part cider, 1 part ginger beer, and then 1 part Tito's. So that's actually pretty good. I've been enjoying it. That's been helping out a lot. But yeah, I mean, that last drive, it was tragic. I mean, you could see that Gurley, like, every instinct in his body as a running back is telling him to score that touchdown. and like I don't think he expected it to be that open. I mean, the Lions defender gave up on the tackle. Like, he knew the Lions defender was in the middle of the tackle and just gave up on it. So Gurley had a lot of momentum after the Lions defender basically just let go of him, and he just couldn't stop. And it was unfortunate because the Falcons probably win the game if they just kind of, take that 1 yard and just kind of kneel down a couple times and then try to get in the end zone. But it's rough, man. That's real rough. So I think the rush to blame Gurley, like, he was the obvious one who, messed up on that play, but at the end of the day, the reason they lost the game was not Todd Gurley. The reason they lost the game is because the defense completely crumbled on the final drive. I mean, they allowed like 75 yards in like a minute, and then the touchdown when he was just wide open in the end zone. So, it is what it is. But also, they just weren't good for most of the game. I mean, the offense was really stuck in neutral for a long time. They did have a couple of very long drives, but again, like, they had to constantly get bailed out by guys just making fantastic plays. Like, Dirk Koetter's offense against defenses that aren't trash, it looks so hard. He makes it so difficult every single play. He constantly shoots his own team in the foot by forcing them to run on 2nd and long. I mean, 2nd and 13 was the damn run call on the play before Matt Ryan got sacked and fumbled the ball. Dirk Koetter called a run on 2nd and 13. Like, there's running on 2nd and long, and then there's running on 2nd and 13. That is just a goddamn embarrassment. Like, I cannot make it any more clear than that. There is absolutely no scenario where you run on 2nd and 13. You're basically just saying, we're going to punt. We're going to punt this ball, and I'm fine with that. It's gross. It's really gross. I don't really know what else to say about that. But the defense was solid, mostly against the run. The pass was not good. The reason they looked better, I think, than they actually were was because Matt Patricia's a bad coach too, and he is very stubborn about running the ball as much as he can. So it didn't matter that the Falcons were literally 5th in the NFL in rushing yardage allowed. Matt Patricia was going to run the damn ball, and boy, oh boy, he did. It didn't end up costing his team the game, unfortunately, but like, if this Lions team actually went out and threw the ball like they should have, this would have been a blowout, because the pass defense is still a disaster. The only time they can get pressure is if they blitz, and to be fair, they got 2 sacks off blitzes, so that's nice, but like, this team can't rush with 4. The coverage is awful, and I just don't really know what else to say there. All right, George Costanza, this is a long one. Give me a second. $5, man. Bro, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Ridiculous to expect Gurley not to score there. Fans are dumb. Whoa, okay, calm down. I can't go too crazy on the people here. The defense has to make that stop. You don't leave points on the field. This is a 2-14 team. We should expect it. Going to lose the last 7 games. Schedule is brutal. Not too much I can argue with there. Some fans are dumb. I don't want to typecast everyone in here, because if you guys watch the show, I think you're probably a lot smarter than the average fan. So shout out to you guys. But it is ridiculous to expect Gurley not to score there. I mean, in an ideal world, he doesn't. But it's like, why would you ever coach your running back not to score? You don't expect that the Lions defender is going to release you at the last second, and he kind of just fell in after that. So yeah, it's rough. Obviously they should score. It would have been nicer if it took a couple more plays, but it is what it is. It was rough there. But George, we really appreciate you. Thank you, man. But yeah, it's like, there's so many issues, and there's so many plays that lead to Gurley being the one to get blamed there at the end. And unfortunately, I think that this team should have been a lot better on offense. So I blame Koetter for that. I blame Koetter for seemingly still not really understanding how this offense works, how Gurley is a guy that is really good rushing outside, and sure, he can take carries up the middle and he can be good with them. We saw several times how savvy he is. Like, his vision is still great, his contact balance is still great. He's not particularly bursty, but if you give him a head of steam, he's very hard to tackle. And it's almost like Gurley is revolting against Dirk Koetter, because he has to bounce it out himself, because those runs up the middle are awful. Hold on one second. Adnan's trying to get in here. Let me get this man a link to the show. Give me 1 second, folks. All right, so we should be getting Adnan Ikic in here as well in just a minute, folks. So that'll be a lot of fun. Help me, maybe get some more pointers going here. But hey Adnan, what's up, man? How you doing?
I have penetrated in.
Oh, hold on 1 second. My sound is messed up. Hold on. Okay, try again.
Hello.
Yes, perfect. We got you now. Yeah, we got you now. We're good.
Awesome. Yeah, I've Trojan horsed my way in. I was standing on the outside watching for the last few minutes, but
Yeah, you were lurking and now you're swarming. So.
I was lurking.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, I've been going off, so I'll give you a chance to go off a little bit because this was a pretty bad one.
Yeah. It was a pretty bad loss, but I'm not gonna lie to you. The fact that we're now 1-6, it makes it so much easier to digest.
Right.
Because if this was like a week 1 loss, then I'd be like distraught. Like after that Cowboys game, oof, like the next day I was thinking about it. Like, oh, how can we not like recover that onside kick? What's going on? Like, how did we do this? And then the Bears game too. Now it's like, you know what? This season is a lost season. I was crunching the numbers just for the hell of it, just for fun to see, what would it take to get to the playoffs for the Falcons? And you not having lost this game, if you had won this game, you were probably allowed 2 more losses the rest of the season. And you have to play the Saints twice in the second half. You have to play the Bucks twice, and you have to play the Chiefs. So you would have to sweep one of the Saints or Bucks, split the other game, because I'm just assuming a loss to the Chiefs, and then win everything else. But that's not happening. And no, please don't take this as, oh, I'm looking at the playoffs. I was sarcastically joking about it in our Falcoholic group chat. But yeah, no, playoffs is completely out of the question. And I mean, I am absolutely shameless in my pursuit of the tank this year. Yes. I do not care. Like I know some people who I look up to who are very, very intelligent, who are great mentors of mine, on the Falcoholic and everywhere else, are completely against tanking. I am completely against the idea of being against tanking. I'm here for the tank this season. I'm here for the top 5 pick. I don't think playing for pride will get us anywhere, because we played for pride the last 2 years and look at where it's gotten us. We're 1-6.
Look at how much that has helped us. Not too much. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. It's unfortunate that it's come to this, but yeah, I mean, they're just not good. Eli Amberson, man, thank you for subscribing. We appreciate you. But I just, yeah, I mean, at this point, what else do they accomplish by winning games? I mean, nothing.
Like, you can't play for pride. Like, what pride are you going to get in being 7-9 again? I'd rather not be 7-9 again, because we gave the Saints fans hell for being 7-9 3 straight seasons, and now we're going to do that again if we do it. So no, like, I'm here for the tank. I'm here for losses like this. And, just when you think that they'll win, they falcon it up and lose this game.
Yeah.
Looking at it specifically in this game, when we were kicking it on 4th and 5, or when we weren't kicking it on 4th and 5, when we went for it, I was losing my mind. Because I understand, like, there are the analytics in play. And if this was the first quarter, like, tie game, and you're trying to be aggressive, then I'm here for going for it. But just looking at the game situation, you were up by 1 point in that situation. And your defense was doing a great job. Mm-hmm. Like, the Falcons' defense stepped up in this game, and other than the last drive where they once again went, oh yeah, let's go Dan Quinn defense, and just off coverage, no pressure, nothing like that. And other than that terrible roughing the passer penalty on that first Lions touchdown drive, the defense stepped up. So I think in that case, you have to trust your defense. It's not like this was a 34-33 game where your defense isn't getting any stops, and you're like, all right, now we have to be aggressive. Let's go for it. So I didn't like the idea of being overly aggressive there. I didn't like not trusting the defense, because Younghoe Koo this season has been automatic, other than that one game where he was hurt against, I think it was the Chicago Bears, and we found out later on that he was playing injured. So that was a big mistake, running it on 2nd and 13 on that last drive. Mm-hmm. like we keep saying, this should be a fireable offense every single
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Dirk Koetter does something that should be a fireable offense, but he's just immune to that. I don't know what you're doing. You're up. You have over 5 minutes left in that game. Like, are you trying to run down the clock? It's like you're just conceding that entire drive. And yes, the very next play, Matt Ryan got strip sacked. The offensive line, which did a very good job other than that one play. Like, shout out to the offensive line this season. They've been very good. I've been very impressed with the O line all year long, especially in pass protection. And it was a very good performance by them. I liked the performance by the defense up until the end. You just have to give it to Matthew Stafford on that final drive, man.
Yeah.
Like, Matthew Stafford is an incredible quarterback late in games. He's a very clutch quarterback. He has so many fourth quarter comebacks. He gets a bad rap because he's never had a defense and he's never had a run game, but Matt Stafford is a very good QB. And one more thing, like Todd Gurley, very admirable. I don't blame him at all for that, for falling into the end zone, because he was trying not to, but his momentum was just taking him forward. He just couldn't help himself. In that situation, you got the 2 points. It's up to your defense to get the stuff, to just not let them drive the entire field to get the touchdown. But it is what it is. I said it on Twitter. It had shades of that London game in 2014.
It did. It really did. It looked like there might have been a runoff there for a second. I was I was getting hyped for it. Yeah, but
I was too. I was like, "There's no way they're doing this again."
Yeah. But it's like, honestly, maybe we should be thanking Todd Gurley for protecting the tank. Like, honestly, like, because if this was like week 17 last year and Todd Gurley did that, he would have been a fan hero. Like, for like blowing the game like that. But no, I mean, it's just funny. But yeah, I mean, it's probably for the best that we did lose this game, if we're being totally honest. This probably was one of the most winnable games left. But
when we look back at the end of the season and we're picking top 5 with like 5 wins, we'll look back like, man, that Dallas game, that Chicago game, that Detroit game, like, this has us picking top 5, top 10.
We're getting those crucial tiebreakers too. So.
Oh yes, it's draft season. Watch, like, we're tied with the Giants and a bunch of other teams for the second worst record. Don't even look at the top pick. The Jets are just too bad, to overtake them unless they fire Adam Gase. But yes, I'm absolutely here for it. I didn't mind at all. The kick went up, and I thought that that unsportsmanlike conduct by Amendola was really going to screw them on the kick, because it made it a 48-yard extra point.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a false start when the referee had the motion, and I was like, wait, like, what?
Is this going to happen? Yeah, no, but unfortunately not. But yeah.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it's just like the air feels just so much clearer, and the birds are just singing so much more when you're not emotionally invested in Falcons wins. We're still emotionally invested in the Falcons, just not in wins.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have some tips that I want to read off here. I didn't want to interrupt you, Adnan, because you were making some great points. But so George Costanza again with the $5, bro. We really appreciate you. He says, wanted to give you guys one more donation. Thanks for all you guys do. Appreciate that, brother. For the panel, we got some questions. So first off, I'll let you take this one, Adnan, because it's pretty simple. Is there any game left on the schedule where we should expect to win?
Ooh, let me look at the schedule.
Let me pull the schedule up. Yeah.
Let me pull this up. I'm enjoying this again. Well, the Panthers on Thursday, they almost beat the Saints. Let's run down it. Let's run down.
Do a quick rundown.
Just for kicks.
Yeah.
All right. So the Panthers on Thursday, they've been looking very good this year, and McCaffrey's probably not going to play because it's a Thursday night game. It doesn't matter. Mike Davis was killing us. I'm not making us favorites in that game. The Broncos, possibly. I think the Broncos won. Drew Lock hasn't looked that great. Like, their defense is still solid. I'm going to say the Broncos won, but let's just continue looking down. The Saints in New Orleans, the Raiders, who look very good, they beat the Saints again. The Chargers, who are much better than their record indicates. Like, I can't wait to see what Justin Herbert does to our defense. Then you have the Bucks, Chiefs, and Bucks. So I'm going to go with the Broncos game is the one where I think we should be favored. And I think Vegas will probably favor us for that Chargers game. But that's a tough West Coast swing. You're going from Atlanta to LA. The week before, we will have had to play the New Orleans Saints in probably a very emotional, very difficult game, as those always are. So I wouldn't say that we should be favorites in that Chargers game. I'm gonna go with the Broncos game.
Yeah, I think the Broncos make sense to me. Like the Chargers has that really good defense, so it's gonna make Dirk Cutter's offense look really bad. But yeah, probably the Broncos game is our best bet going forward.
I will say I don't know which one, but I think we will win one of the two games against the Saints.
I think so too, just because this team always gets up to play New Orleans.
They get up to play the Saints, and it's also very, very difficult to beat a team twice in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it is.
And you look at it, they could possibly upset the Bucs at the end of the season too, just because for the same reason. But with the Bucs, I'm less inclined to think about that because you have the Chiefs in between them, and the Chiefs are just gonna. I can't wait to see what
blast
Mahomes
us.
does against these guys.
Mahomes will be out by the third quarter. He'll be taking a nice break on the sideline. But second half of George's question, what's more pathetic? All right, Atlanta losing in this manner or Dallas putting up just 3 points against the Washington football team?
I'm gonna go with Atlanta losing in this manner just because Dallas doesn't have an offensive line.
Yeah, and they're on their third string quarterback now.
Yeah, they're on their third string quarterback, and Washington's defensive line's very good. Like they have all those former first round picks. They have Chase Young. They have those Alabama guys.
Yeah.
Like Washington, that was a sneaky good play in fantasy if you managed to have the foresight to pick up the Washington football team because, like Detroit, I think Knight got injured. He was their backup right tackle.
Yeah, Brandon Knight. My brethren, yeah, your cousin Brandon Knight.
We're
probably related,
L. Collins is out for the year probably. Smith is out for the year, Tyrone Smith. Zach Martin was out in this game, so, I'm going to give Dallas a bit of a pass for that game just because they're playing with, nobody. And, Dalton got hurt too.
Yeah, I agree. And then this was just such a embarrassing way to lose the game too. So it
No, this is an embarrassing game. This isn't even one of the 3 most humiliating losses of the season for the Falcons too.
Oh yeah, and it's exactly. This is barely going to register on the embarrassment meter. But
for any other team, they're thinking about this all season. For us, it's given Sunday.
Throw it on the pile. Yeah, throw it on the pile. Yeah. Also,
that's it. That's all that happened. We didn't even have that big of a lead in this game.
Oh yeah, we only blew a 1-point lead. It's not that bad. Yeah. But yeah, also Clarity A1 just popped in. $10 tip, bro. Thank you so much. At this point, he says, I assume it's a he. I wonder if a full reset on the franchise is needed. We're getting there, bud. Get rid of everyone except young, promising players. As for Matt and Julio, I don't know. Part of me wants to see Julio go to a competitor. IDK, get yourself some drinks after this one. Way ahead of you, brother. Adnan does not partake, but I'm sure, whatever Adnan's equivalent is, I'm sure he will be partaking. So
I have a nice ginger ale.
There you go. Yeah.
I hate myself, so it's one of those bold ginger ales.
Bold.
So this is very, very tough down the throat.
Oh yeah, man. Ginger beer is where it's at, though. If you want to get some with a real bite, yeah. I'm gonna do my Ithaca Soda Company plug here. Ithaca brand ginger beer. It's where it's at. If you're trying to make cocktails and whatnot, or just have good ginger beer. But
I will. We should be getting paid for these sponsorships.
I know, right? Ithaca, hit me up.
Free plugs. I will say though, I don't think the salary cap will allow a full rebuild. At least with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, they're going to be on the team for the next 2 years at least, just because there's way too much dead money to speak of if you get rid of them in either of these next 2 years. So I don't think it's possible to just go full rebuild. You do have some very promising young pieces. The first rounders the Falcons have gotten the past few years have been panning out. Lindstrom and McGarry look very good. Your O-line, it's big when a general manager comes into the position and he doesn't have to worry about the offensive line. And the Falcons pretty much, they got Hennessy too, so you have left guard to worry about in regard to O-line, and that's about it. You have Calvin Ridley, who's a very promising young wide receiver who scored again. He's just like a fantasy monster this year, and a real-life monster. I think Ridley looks like he's poised to take over Julio Jones in a couple of years when Julio really starts slowing down because of age.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this team has a lot of talent.
It does.
And I'm sure the next coaching staff, next GM will want to try to get as much out of this talent as possible. Just because, Matt and Julio, they make Atlanta an attractive destination. And then it's perfect if you have a top 5 pick, possibly. Let's go tank. Hashtag tank.
Hashtag tank for somebody. I don't know yet, but
Tank for Fields at this point.
yeah.
So if you lose, if you get like a top 5 pick, then you have Matt Ryan, you have possibly the next quarterback to sit behind him for the next couple of years, so you can win for a couple of years, and then you can hopefully continue winning moving forward. Because you have Deion Jones, you have Grady Jarrett; these are foundational pieces on defense.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like I think there is enough here certainly to entice a team, or excuse me, like a coaching staff. So I think there is. Like, there's enough here. I think this is a better roster than what you have in Houston. I think this is a much better roster than what you have in New York. And, we'll see what else happens. Maybe it's both New York teams that are looking for coaches at the end of the year. We expect that the Jets will be, but you never know with the Jets, like what exactly is going to be going on there. But
Adam Gase extension.
Adam Gase. Look, he's given up play calling now, and the Jets had life. So that man has new life in New York, and he's gonna make the best of it, I guess. But also want to call attention to Murray Best the second or 11, I'm not sure, has donated $10. Brother, thank you so much. And he says, thanks for the great weekly connect, guys. I always enjoy watching you from Japan and experience the heartache with you. Brother, we appreciate you guys. So you make it easier on us, honestly. So we appreciate having you guys.
Shout out watching from Japan. Shout out.
Yeah. Big,
Falcoholic International.
Yeah, it's all, we're worldwide now. Now we're going to start putting that in the promotional materials. And on that note, guys, just to let you know, if you don't mind throwing a like at the video, that helps other people on YouTube find it. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'll shout you out. And also, you'll get notifications every time we go live. So that's really helpful for you. So I know we did have a question about who would we take with that top pick at this time. So we're going to start the draft takes with this. So at this point, I don't know if you've done any draft prep. I haven't really, but I know a couple of names
October.
maybe.
I shouldn't have to be asked to do draft prep in October.
Do you have any names in mind for, assuming the Falcons have a top 5 pick, anyone that you're looking at?
Justin Fields.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Justin Fields. Yeah, it's like we're not getting Trevor Lawrence.
No, I don't think so.
And it should be quarterback, right? I mean, the other name, if you're not getting quarterback, Penei Sewell, who is looking like, an absolute generational type player on the offensive line, if you want to go that route and possibly maximize the last few years with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones on the team. But I think if you're picking that high, you have to set yourself up for the future, just because top 5 picks don't come along that often unless you're the Jaguars or the Jets or one of these absolutely terribly run franchises. Like the Falcons aren't that bad of a franchise, all things considered. It's an embarrassing franchise. Like, we humiliate ourselves on a weekly basis at this point, but we're not bad in comparison to like some of these really bad franchises. Like, look at the Jags. They went to the AFC Championship game once, and other than that, and then after that, they shipped out all of their players for like pennies. And after that, they've picked in the top 5 pretty much every single season since 2008, since David Garrard was there. Shout out to David Garrard.
Shout out to David Garrard.
Didn't think we'd have a
Man,
David
I was
Garrard
not prepared for that one. Yeah.
But yeah, so the Falcons aren't going to be picking top 5 very often. You have to set yourself up for the future. And Matt Ryan's still going to be here for the next couple of years, but you can't. If you have a chance to get that quarterback for the next 10, 15 years, you have to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it. It makes a lot of sense, definitely. Also joining us now with his traditional late cameo, Evan Birchfield. Evan, how are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Just great, Oh, yeah, I'm really into this one. Yeah,
it's thanks season.
Yeah, we're talking draft talk now, but I do want to give you a chance to get your thoughts in here on this game. Obviously, embarrassing, but yeah, who do you blame, I guess? Because, we've been throwing the blame around between Dirk Koetter and the defense. So where do you stand on that one?
I mean, it's not a popular take, but for all but 2 minutes of that game, I thought the defense did really well. I even tweeted it, and I kind of blame myself because I probably jinxed us. But I was saying how the Lions have scored 21-plus in every game this season. And at that point, it was
and they still
16
have.
points. Yeah, now they officially have. But at that point, it's like it was 16-14. and it's tough to blame. Like, I'm not going to blame Todd Gurley. I mean,
Right, yeah.
he clearly knew to fall down because he tried to at the last second. I think what was kudos to the Lions was that defender kind of clinged on, and if you watch, he let go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't like break the tackle like the Lions defender. I forgot who it was, but let go, and Gurley ended up. It's just what I'm tired of is this team. If you're going to lose, just lose. Don't do it in like dumbass fashion
right.
where we have to hear about it the rest
like
of the week.
Normally, yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness we play a 1:00 game this week, right? So we don't have to hear it, leading up to Thursday night football. Like, it's just exhausting. And it's like, at this point, you can't even be mad because you kind of expect it. Like, I'm kind of like, you know what? I want to see if they're capable of doing this again. And they did.
They're always capable.
Yeah, it's like, the way I'm looking at it, though, is right now it sucks, and we're kind of pissed off, and, we're all like that, and that's fine. But come April, if we're talking about the difference of pick 5, or, we beat the Lions, so we're pick 11, like, we would regret that, right? Yeah. Is that safe to say?
Oh, yeah,
So,
we were
like,
talking about Gurley
game.
being the hero. Yeah, he's the hero that preserved the tank, so good on you.
It's the 49ers game and the Bucks game all over again from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, they lost, so now we're 1-6. The other argument I would say is for people, I mean, last game it was kind of natural to kind of get a little more optimistic, I guess. But everybody's still here. Yeah. The only people we got rid of was Dimitrov, who had he wasn't involved in game planning and stuff. Right. And Dan Quinn, who was pretty much just doing the press conferences. But everybody else is still here. Dan Quinn wasn't calling defensive or offensive plays. He might have been involved in the defensive game plan, but it's not like he was telling, do 3rd and 12 runs and stuff. Like, their cover's still here. Yeah. So why should we expect this team to, like, be competent all of a sudden? Like, and we're not even halfway. There's been 3, terrible, embarrassing losses.
We're not even at the halfway point this year.
Right.
Yeah, between the Cowboys, the Bears, and now this. There's plenty of time to make some more memories for
Just think of the potential. Yeah, and I mean, to Evan's point, as I was like coming home, I got this Bleacher Report notification. Another epic Falcons collapse.
Oh, no.
This wasn't even that epic.
It wasn't that epic, yeah.
We only led by 7. Like, where have you been all year?
Right, they've collapsed so many times now that, like, the suspense just isn't there anymore, It's like we're just expecting it at this point.
Well, we had a 99% chance to win 2 games this year that we lost somehow.
Yeah, just the 94 or whatever we had now. That's like child's play. Yeah, no, we just assume they're going to blow that lead, but... yeah, I mean, this game probably puts the nail in the coffin for Raheem Morris's chances of coaching this team next year. I think people were probably getting a little too optimistic about this team after a victory over a truly bad Vikings team that's probably also going to be cleaning house.
It's one of those games where it's one of those situations where you have a new interim head coach comes into the building and takes over. You have a new voice, and then the team rallies in that first game. And, as they rally, they put on a great performance, and you're wondering, could this be a turning point? Like, no, it's not a turning point. It's the Vikings. It's the Vikings who are an absolute shell of what they were the past few years. This is not the same Vikings team that's routinely been disposing of the Saints in the playoffs the past few years. Mm-hmm. Like, Everson Griffin isn't there. Linval Joseph isn't there. Danielle Hunter isn't there.
Yeah.
This Xavier Rhodes, who was an absolute monster a few years ago and who wasn't really that great last year, he's not there anymore.
Now. He's second in Indianapolis. He's like the second or third
now.
Best cornerback in the league right now. But, yeah.
I mean, like, come on. It's like that Vikings team is one of the few teams that are worse than us.
Yeah.
Like, they're not good. Dalvin Cook wasn't even playing. Mm-hmm. Like, you should not be staking your, like, confidence in this team on we beat the Minnesota Vikings, the 1 in like
hell
6
yeah,
Minnesota
brother.
Vikings.
Yeah.
We
got
matched up on them well too. Not having Dalvin Cook is huge because Alexander Madison struggled. Even this week, the Lions running backs weren't tremendous. I know Swift ended up scoring, but off that bullshit roughing the passer call. But
oh god, yeah.
I'm sure. Did you guys talk about that already?
We did. Yeah, it was bogus. It was definitely bogus.
Yeah, that left a bad taste in my mouth. But then of course, other things happened. So I
and then you have Mike Pereira coming in defending it. Oh, he left his feet like.
Oh yeah, he was like slightly. Matt Stafford's like 6 inches taller than him. What the hell do you want him to do?
Well, and Stafford froze too.
Yeah,
like he ran up and then just stopped.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what else you're supposed to do. It's already hard enough to play defense in the NFL. Now you're expecting them to like. He even mentioned like he should have hit him lower, but then that's another flag.
Right, like you can't go low on him. Yeah, like what do you want him to do?
Stafford wasn't even expecting the flag. He was like, he just popped up and was ready to get off the field.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre, man. And that's the problem. Like, yes, they need to protect quarterbacks. Yes, they need to protect players from defenseless hits, but it's possible to go too far. Like, we need to flag the egregious stuff that was allowed to happen for too long. Everyone agrees on that. But now it's like, well, we need to have this very specific wording, so whether it's a flag or not. No, we don't. Like, you can use your eyes to know if something is egregious or not. You don't need to have this incredibly detailed 6-sentence explanation of why something is or isn't roughing the passer. Like, it's something that you just know it when you see it. And unfortunately, we've gone too far in the other direction, and that often happens. Yeah.
And I think AJ Terrell had a very good game. Like, Kenny Golladay had a great stat line, but Golladay was making some catches.
Those were some stupid catches, man.
He was last week, too.
Yeah. I mean, Galladay's just really damn good.
Yeah,
Thielen last week was shut down until the very end.
Yeah.
And he had to make, like, crazy catches to even, Galladay-type catches to even, like, be relevant in that game. So I'm really impressed with him.
I think Galladay's a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Like,
now that he's healthy,
I think he deserves that credit.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like that was some insane coverage, and he had some insane catch. That last catch, like, to set up the game-winning touchdown, that was
ridiculous.
An incredible catch.
Yeah.
Like, it was fantastic. They had that one on the sideline where I have no idea what Raheem Morris was doing challenging that play when it's clear that he got both feet in bounds and was like, and caught it. That cost us our second time out. And I don't know if it would have made a difference, but you never want to, you never want to just waste timeouts like that. But man, like Terrell has been a breath of fresh air this season. Like
there's some good pieces on it. I mean, even Foy, I think, is the other one on defense.
Yeah, Foy looked very good.
Yeah,
there's some good young pieces.
There are,
and even Dante Fowler came to life for once, where he
against the run.
He got that big tackle against Adrian Peterson. And shout out to Matt Patricia, who's like still running old man Adrian Peterson out there when he has DeAndre Swift and even Kerryon Johnson. Like,
what happened to Kerryon Johnson? This man is good. Like, I do not get it. He's like, we got Adrian Peterson now. Oh man, I remember I had his football cards when I was growing up. I need to make sure we give this man carries every week.
They always have like remember like Javid Best? They had really good running backs, and they just like play for a year or two and then they're gone.
Hey, Javid Best, like I still maintain he would have been an absolute monster. He had those concussion issues, unfortunately. Like he got so many that he was, knocked out of like his NFL career. So I hope Javid Best is doing okay. I just remember him at Cal when he had that like 5 touchdown game. Dude was an absolute monster.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Kerryon Johnson was literally a 2nd-round pick out of Auburn a few years ago. Like, I remember him absolutely tearing apart a very, very good Georgia front 7 in that game in Auburn, where Georgia ended up getting him back with DeAndre Swift in the SEC title game. Kerryon didn't play in that one, but like over 200 yards against Georgia in that game. And, Jake Fromm, absolute trash game manager on the road, just could not deal with the hostility of the road environment. But, that's another
topic for another day.
Another topic. But yeah, like Kerryon Johnson, like he was a 2nd-round pick, and now he's just like relegated to the bench because you want to play Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's totally embarrassing.
The other thing I just remembered randomly that was a ref thing was where Fowler was in the end zone, and they like said he like threw his helmet off, but it was actually Steven Means like jumped on his back and knocked his helmet off, and we got flagged for that.
Yep.
Just like stupid stuff.
Oh, these refs were an embarrassment. I mean, it was one of the worst officiated games of the season so far, but I mean, that stuff's going to happen sometimes and you have to overcome it, unfortunately, but man, it was pretty egregious. It was pretty egregious. Brian Smith, thank you for the subscription, man. And I think there was Brandon Rogers, I believe it was before that. I think I missed you. My feed's not updating right, so I apologize if I missed anyone that's subscribed, but we really appreciate all you guys for that. Yeah, so I know folks. I believe it was Kells Creates was who it was that mentioned that Neal was really good today, and that's true. I think Neal has definitely looked better.
He was all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think he's finally getting healthy and finally getting back to his high level of play.
Looked like the Keanu from 2017 out there.
Yeah. So that's
wasn't that
Galladay
nice. Galladay where it was like a super crazy catch. I think that was Neal that like hit him.
Maybe, yeah. And
I do
he had
remember
that big sack.
Yeah,
he also had that very good play where he like just destroyed T.J. Hawkinson on a play, and nobody's really like looking at it because it wasn't really that like big of a play. Like all things considered, it was like 2 yards, but it was still like one of those patented Keanu Neal hits that we got so used to his first couple of years.
Yeah. Speaking of Kells Creates, thanks for the subscription, man. Appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, another like Michael Walker was another one that some folks in the chat have mentioned. Shaquavius Scott.
He's looked so good.
Yeah, like he has been, I think impressive, especially for a rookie. Like if you had to say like one group on this Falcons defense is probably pretty much set. I mean, I think the linebacker core is maybe the best, most consistent group because Deion's been looking better. Foye has been arguably the best player outside of Grady Jarrett, who is, just going to be the best player on this defense probably because he's so good. But and now you've got Walker as the Sam guy, as the third guy that can play basically anywhere. So, I mean, this is a very solid group. Yeah.
Going into the season, I thought they were the weakest unit.
Right.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
everyone did. Go ahead.
There was no depth. I mean, who was it behind Leroy Reynolds, who's like more special teams.
Shout out to Leroy Reynolds' dad, by the way. Yeah, please don't hurt me.
And we had Walker, who a rookie, so we didn't know what to expect. Foy hadn't taken that next step yet, which in hindsight now we're like, oh wow, he's tremendous. But at that point we didn't know. It was like Deion Jones, and then who knows? But yeah, they're the strength right now, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. It's like you let Campbell go, and Devondre Campbell wasn't that great last year. When he wasn't bickering with fans on Twitter, he was. Missing tackles last season. But yeah, Foye Oluokun, I think Foye should have gotten more of an opportunity last year. I remember after the Rams game, I went and interviewed him in the locker room. That was my claim to fame from a journalistic standpoint last season. Mm-hmm. But like Foye, he looked really good in his rookie year as a sixth rounder when Deion Jones went down to the foot injury, and then the coaching staff just buried him onto the bench and in his special teams. Yeah, for some reason, like that's just bad coaching in that case where, he didn't really do anything that like warranted it. Sure, Deion Jones came back from injury, but he still looked pretty good even after Deion Jones came back. And then his sophomore year, they're just like, all right, we're just not going to play him all year long. But yeah, now he's like really stepping up, and I'm glad that he's stepping up now before he steps up after he leaves the team, because now they know that he's a very good player. Like he looks like a potential Pro Bowler in the future. Yeah, I mean, he's someone who you really want to re-sign.
Yeah, his athleticism was his best attribute coming out, and I think he's bulked up a little bit. He's stout against the run. I mean, this is a guy I think that has a lot of potential, because he was playing at Yale and was kind of a small school guy, not someone who had a ton of hype. I certainly didn't know who he was before he got drafted here. So, and I actually pay attention to the draft, and I didn't know who he was. So, I mean, that's a great pickup, and it's great that he's playing well. And I know a lot of fans are like high on Micah Parsons, the linebacker in the draft. And Micah Parsons is great, and I'd be happy with Parsons, but it's like you do wonder that with the Falcons having all these linebackers, if like you just kind of lean towards another position, like, and I was all about Isaiah Simmons this year, but it's like with the linebackers actually being like solid to good, it's like they desperately need help on the edge. They have to have somebody there that can produce, and like this is Tak's first game where he didn't get just injured again, so I want to give him, some time to work here, but Fowler has not been a good pass rusher. He's been extremely disappointing.
Had like 5 years.
Yeah, well, I know. I'm not saying that he's the future or anything, but like, when he's been healthy this year, he's been good. This week he was getting back into it clearly. Fowler has been completely invisible as a pass rusher. Now he has made some run defense plays, but he's not getting paid $16 million to stop the run. Okay, like we could go out there and get Red Bryant if we wanted a run stuffing edge for like.
Oh, there is a name I haven't heard in a while.
Shout out to Red Bryant, by the way. But
David Garrard and Red Bryant.
Yeah, there's a lot of good refs on this show, but like it just like he's not getting paid all this money to be good against the run. Like, it's nice that he is good against the run. That's like a nice bonus considering that Vic Beasley was just a huge liability there. But like, you got to start producing as a pass rusher. You're not going to be here very long. Like, you're not making it to the third year of that contract. So let's, yeah, I mean, I know, Adnan, you said Justin Fields would be your choice, and I totally agree with you there. Like, if he's on the board, I think that's someone they have to consider. You know, Trey Lance is another name that they might have to consider, because if the Falcons are picking closer to like 5 overall instead of like 2 or 3, you know, Fields could be off the board as well. So Trey Lance could be an intriguing guy. Obviously, someone that is a little bit more of a risk, I think, but that could be something. And speaking of Trey Lance and Fields, George Costanza with another $5 donation, brother. You are just like coming in clutch today. We really appreciate you, man. So he says he doesn't know why everyone's so high on Fields. Tell me the last Ohio State quarterback to do anything in the NFL. Fair. Don't worry, I'll wait. Yeah. So he says we should take Trey Lance or go O-line since he's assuming that we'll be 4th or 5th overall. Thank you for the awesome stream, brother. Thank you for being awesome and supporting us. We really appreciate that so much, guys. So, I mean, I don't disagree with him. Like, I honestly, if we had more tape, because Trey Lance only played that one game this year against like Central Michigan or something, and he was like kind of mediocre as a passer and like pretty good as a runner, but like we're not getting a lot of tape on him. So Trey Lance is kind of inherently risky because of that. With Fields, maybe we'll get a little more tape, and then people are just always hype on Ohio State quarterbacks because
I agree. Like, Ohio State quarterbacks have not really done great in the NFL historically.
Yeah.
You know, and that, you know, to say the least. But it's still like you can't blame a guy for where he goes to school.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that should be used against him. Like, oh, he went to Ohio State. Oh, this guy like went to USC, and USC never produced quarterbacks. Like, I think it was it Matt Leinart?
God. Yeah,
you know, when
I think it was Matt Leinart. Yeah.
Hey, it's a Matt Leinart reference right now.
Oh God, we're just really digging deep tonight.
Yeah, we're just moving this thing along. But yeah, it's like I like what I've seen from Justin Fields, and if you want to criticize him for, you know, what you see on the field, then absolutely go ahead. I just don't think it's fair to criticize him just because of what school he goes to.
Yeah, I mean, there is a saying in scouting. I'm an amateur scout, but among all scouting folks, the saying is scout the player, not the helmet. And that's important to remember because yes, especially if the coaching staff remains the same, there are certainly some reasons to think that, you know, XYZ player that comes from Clemson or from Ohio State, places that have had a lot of continuity in their coaching staff, like, they're going to have certain, you know, schematic tendencies or certain things that they're going to be good and or bad at compared to their peers because the coaching staff is the same. But for something like quarterback, like the prospects are all so different. I mean, like, Fields obviously probably reminds people a lot of like Cardale Jones in that he's a good runner who is, you know, evolving as a passer. I think Fields is a much better prospect than Cardale Jones. You know, Cardale, we didn't have a ton of tape on him either.
Cardale played in like 3 games.
Yeah, so
you know, and he was like, I remember the hype between Cardale Jones. Like, it was like he played 3 games. He won 3 rings for it. He won the Big Ten title. He won a playoff game where he just handed it off to Zeke over and over again. And then he won the national championship game. What a year! I think that was the first year of the Ohio State, like, of the playoff.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, like, you know, I don't think you should hold it against Fields that Cardale didn't work out or Dwayne Haskins didn't work out, because Fields is totally different from Haskins. Like, Haskins was very much a pocket passer, and, you know, he struggled, but he went to goddamn the Washington football team, so I don't really hold anything against players that unfortunately.
Right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was pretty obvious. Like, he got drafted under a truly terrible regime. The regime gave up on him quickly. Then they hired a new regime, and Ron Rivera, who's a good coach, like, decided he wanted to bring his guy Kyle Allen in.
He hates him.
Yeah, like, Ron Rivera never wanted Dwayne Haskins. So it's like, has Haskins been good? No, but he never got a fair shake there, and it's just hard. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Josh Rosen. Like, he just got screwed, and sometimes that happens. But
it's so unlucky when you're in a bad situation and your coach and the staff that, like, is responsible for you being there just gets fired.
Yeah.
Like, that's because the next coach is always going to want to bring his guy in, like, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, it's so unlucky, like, when that happens.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I mean, Yeah, it's very unfortunate with Josh Rosen. I'm taking the L on that one. I thought he'd be a very good player.
A lot of people did. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. He has not shown anything that indicates good player at this point. Josh Rosen right now is the backup with the Bucks, or maybe he's on their practice
so he's
squad.
learning from Tom Brady.
No, yeah, he's going to learn so much. Yeah, Tom Brady really is trying to teach Josh Rosen with his time in Tampa Bay right now.
Yeah. No, Josh Rosen is who am I trying to say? Josh Rosen is Jared Goff on a bad team.
Yes, I agree completely because if you had Josh Rosen on that Rams team, he looked like a competent quarterback. And if you take Jared Goff away from Sean McVay, he's terrible.
Yeah. So I firmly believe that. Like, Josh Rosen is Jared Goff on a team that's not the Rams. So, like, it really matters where these players go. I know everyone wants to evaluate talent in a vacuum, but like where they go does matter. And Kieran Welsh asks, did we watch Peter King's interview with Dimitrov? I did.
Yeah, I watched.
It wasn't all that illuminating. I mean, Dimitrov is basically like, "Oh, I'm surprised I was fired," but like, I don't know why you're surprised. The team's 0-5. You've now failed with 2 specific head coaches, so I don't know why you're shocked. I mean, but he seemed to be shocked by it. So,
didn't he mention the fans? Like that was the reason.
I don't remember him specifically saying that, but it wouldn't
said
surprise
it was like
me.
fan pressure or something like that was one of the reasons.
He's definitely subtweeting us with that one, I assume. So
yeah,
maybe he's watching the show.
Maybe.
I mean, he has a lot of free time right now.
He does.
It's not like he has a team to run.
Yeah, if you want to apologize to us, Dimitrov, we're here. I'm not going to say what he needs to apologize for, but we're here. If you do, we will accept your apology. It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes.
Well, I wouldn't speak on behalf of everyone.
I won't speak on behalf of everyone, but
us personally, maybe. But
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we can't speak for all of the crew, but at least me, people make mistakes. If he's man enough, to come in here and apologize to us live on the air, then yes, I will accept his apology.
Maybe we can have him on the show.
Yeah, he can be our GM, a former GM contributor, man. That would really raise the profile of this whole thing. So.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I said, open invite to Thomas Dimitrov.
Yes.
I know you're not doing anything. Yeah,
I know you're free on Wednesday nights at 8:10 p.m. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have Dan Quinn on though. I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'd honestly
just
love
picking
Dan
his
Quinn.
brain.
Yeah. I think all Falcon staff are banned from coming on any of our programs, but or any programs at all really, unless they're literally the head coach or something like that. But it's not like they're singling us out. I just don't think anyone's really allowed to do podcasts or anything like that, especially during the season. But
that's such a bad look. Can you imagine they're just doing podcasts and the team is just
talking mad trash? Like, oh yeah, man, this X, Y, and Z coach is terrible, brother. Like, we got to get these bums out. Oh wait, is this live?
Also, I agree with Waterproof Face 83.
That's a great name.
Yeah, shout out Brandon Powell. Or no, that was Shaquavius Scott. My mistake, Shaquavius. Saying Brandon Powell does nothing to the return game.
Yeah, we need to talk about this. We're over an hour, so we're gonna wrap up here shortly, guys. But Brandon Powell, man, why? Why? Somebody tell me why.
Why did he have 2 targets when Zacchaeus is a better receiver and had
because they refused to put Zacchaeus in the slot. They don't have him play the slot, so therefore it's impossible for him to go into the slot.
Sense.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying. But look, Powell's a solid wide receiver 5'6". He can go out and run routes and catch passes. But goddamn, we paid $80,000 for Chris Rowland, and then
he might be good. We don't know.
You're 1-5, you're 1-6 now. What the hell?
See? Test it out.
Maybe we don't need to go and give the guy who gets 3 yards per punt return, all the touches in the return game because if Chris Rowland muffs a punt, who cares? At least we know he's going to muff a punt. At least we know something. And I apologize because I know Brandon Powell's brother, I think it is, follows me on Twitter, and he's been very critical of my coverage of Brandon Powell. It's not personal. It's professional.
Hey, it's not as bad as Isaiah Oliver's dad.
Well, yeah, Isaiah Oliver's dad. Shout out to Isaiah Oliver's dad. Apparently, subscriber to the show.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Isaiah. Yeah, it's not personal. I want Brandon Powell to be good. I want Isaiah Oliver to be good. I want every single Falcons player to be as good as possible, but I can't make them be good. You have to show it on the field. And maybe it's not fair that we only get to see these guys for, XYZ number of plays every week. But those are the only plays we can grade on. I'm not there in practice to see Brandon Powell busting off 85-yard kick return touchdowns or something like that. I seriously doubt that's happening, but, maybe it is. We wouldn't know. So, we can only grade off of what we see. And what we see is this shit is bad.
It reminds me of J.D. McKissick just, doing a great job in preseason a few years ago. He busted one back for, a touchdown, and then they just, cut him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Now, and then he found a place in Seattle and in Washington. He's been very serviceable. He's gets a lot of touches in Washington nowadays. But I do want to say shout out to Isaiah Oliver. He didn't do anything embarrassing today.
He was fine.
He wasn't on the field for.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that it didn't matter, but he was absolutely key on that Hawkinson tackle, keeping him from getting out of bounds. That should have probably helped
fantastic.
him. That was great. It was very heads-up play.
That took off 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, I will say, Isaiah Oliver, when it comes to the physical aspect of the game, he's very good at it.
He's a good tackler.
Remember that Zach Ertz tackle in our one win in the first half last year against the Eagles, where he just stopped the bigger Zach Ertz on that 4th down. But yeah, it's Isaiah Oliver didn't get burned this week, which is an improvement from literally every other week.
Yeah.
In the NFL season so far.
Yeah, I do take issue with Kendall Sheffield matching up with Kenny Golladay because there's no universe where that is good for Kendall Sheffield.
But if you put Kendall Sheffield on Golladay, they don't expect that.
Yeah, that's the last thing they expect. The closer you are to danger, the farther you are from harm. So shout out to Lord of the Rings with that ref. But Clarity A1 with another $5, brother. Thank you. He wants to point out, even though it's off topic, I don't think it's really off topic, that Arthur Blank being on the sideline is a curse. I agree. Arthur Blank, please stay in the box, please.
Oh, he looked so pissed after that touchdown.
Even with the mask on.
Yeah.
Oh, the mask made it even worse.
You could just feel his seething anger under there. Yeah. No, it's unfortunate. But yeah, we need to see Chris Rowland, and we need to see him now. They're protecting him every week on the practice squad. Clearly they know this guy is at least worth protecting. Let this man return kicks, for God's sake. What is the downside? You're 1-6. It's not like you're winning anything. Start seeing what these players can do. Give this man some game reps. If he has a muff punt problem, let him go out there and fix it. Let him get these game reps. Let him get the experience he needs. Because Brandon Powell.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
They don't care about evaluating him because they're not going to be
right. Put the tape out there for somebody, for God's sake, anything. But yeah, you're probably not wrong about that. Raheem Morris is I don't care to evaluate anyone. I'm not going to be here anyway. But
I don't blame him, to be honest. He's coaching for a job himself next year.
Right. Yeah. I think it would be a net positive if all of a sudden he puts in a guy in Chris Rowland that turns out to be, a really good returner who his predecessor failed to put on the active roster. But I digress. There.
Speaking of which, it's it seems like it wasn't a Dan Quinn thing with Deidre Sanat. He was getting rested all week and then was inactive again.
Yeah, poor Deidre Sanat. He's tired. He's tired, man.
Yeah, maybe he really pissed off Raheem Morris, of all
maybe
people.
Maybe that was the secret. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even let him practice nowadays, let alone play.
Right. They don't even let this poor man practice. Oh no. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. No, it's weird. There are some poor decisions. Let's see. Someone else mentioned something. Yeah. Trey Mendez asks, "Where's Bleedy Ray Wilson?" I agree. Free Bleedy, okay? We need to get this trending, guys. Hashtag free Bleedy, because I don't get it. Every time Bleedy Ray Wilson has to start a game, he's, measurably better than whoever he's replacing. And then he goes right back to the bench whenever so-and-so is healthy. If I was Bleedy, I would want out of here. I wouldn't keep signing deals in Atlanta because... he graded out as our second or third best corner last year on 20% of the snaps, but still it's ridiculous. Let this man play. If Oliver isn't cutting it, Bleedy's the next best option that's big other than AJ Terrell. So I don't see what's the downside to trying out different personnel at this point. I guess I just don't see it. But hashtag free Bleedy. That's where I am.
That's where we're at this point in the season.
Yep, that's where we're at. Hashtag free Bleedy. Yep. But yeah, guys, we appreciate all of you for tuning in. I'm going to give my co-hosts here an opportunity to plug their stuff. But before we get out of here, do want to remind you that you can follow the show at Falcoholic Live on Twitter. You can subscribe, and we appreciate that as well. And if you don't mind throwing a like, that helps other people find the video out there on the big wide YouTube interwebs. So we appreciate that as well. And then just another reminder that we have another show on Wednesdays at 8:10 p.m. Eastern. That's every week. We get into a little bit more of the details and the analytics and stuff from the game. So if you're looking for a little bit more of an intimate show, tends to be less people there. So if you got questions and things like that, it's a little bit easier to get them squeezed in. I apologize that we can't get to everyone. But yeah, check that out, guys. So in the meantime, we have with us tonight Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way on Twitter. Adnan, anything else you want to get in tonight? Anything else you want to plug?
Just the standard articles. Do a fantasy football stud and dud article weekly that occurs weekly, and then a weekly article talking about what if the Falcons win and what if they lose. I think that runs every single Saturday. So check that out. And at this point, that article has turned into a draft standings watch. So it's basically looking at what are the Falcons' draft standings if we win, and what are they if we lose. As opposed to what I was hoping it would be at the beginning of the season when I started it, and I did it last year. I was hoping it would be a playoff watch, but we're not talking about playoffs. We're 1-6. We're 1-6. We have 2 games against the Bucks. We have a game against the Chiefs left. So
we could still finish 9-0 and be 10-6. Okay, you're telling me there's a chance.
Oh no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
That wasn't what I said. Yeah.
Thursday night. Thursday night will be a live show as well, or a post-game show after the Panthers game.
Yep.
So let's see if the Panthers sweep us.
Complete the sweep. Oh no.
I mean, that's a franchise we've owned in recent history, ever since Cam Newton and the entire team dabbed on the sidelines. But no, not this year. It's like who would have thought Teddy Bridgewater was the elixir to break that Falcons ownage of them.
Right.
I mean, it reminds me of when Bridgewater played his first game ever,
right.
for the Minnesota Vikings. Mm-hmm. And when we had, I think, Levine Toilolo as our starting right tackle, and they just gashed us the entire game in Minnesota.
Yep, they did. I do remember. Yeah. This team has a habit of doing that. And, also Teddy Bridgewater, # best quarterback in the NFC South, because it's not, Drew Brees anymore. So I remember someone tweeted, I think I tweeted that out, it's going to be crazy when Teddy Bridgewater is better than Drew Brees at the end of the year. And they, let him walk in free agency. And we're living that right now. We are living that.
Shout out to Teddy, man. He's getting some money. He is earning some money. And that's great to see after he had that big injury, that very scary injury a few years ago in practice. So, I'm all for these guys getting their money. Dak, go get your money, man.
Get your money, brother.
Look at what's going on in Dallas. Squeeze Jerry Jones for every penny you can get. I am not on team. I do not like Jerry Jones. I want Dak to win. I want him to win this.
Yeah. All right. Also with us tonight for the traditional late cameo, Evan Birchfield at the very easy to remember at Evan Birchfield on Twitter. Evan, anything else you want to add tonight? Anything else you want to plug?
No, just keep reading our stuff at thefalcoholic.com. Win or lose, we're all still here. I always mention it, but what separates us from everybody else is we write about the team, but we're also all fans of the team. So when we lose, we're all kind of usually hurt, but I think this year we've all just kind of we're used to it. So
yeah.
But you can find me on Twitter at Evan Birchfield, and appreciate you watching.
Right. Yeah. You can feel the pain in our voice. When we discuss this embarrassing football team, as opposed to when you tune into ESPN, all you get is indifference. So. Mm-hmm. With us, you can see the true pain on our faces from being tortured Falcons fans. But we do it all for you. We appreciate you guys. Like I said, my name is Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin on Twitter. I will have columns on early this week talking about the game. Like I said, we'll be back on Wednesday night at 8:10 to talk about this game, to preview Thursday night football. We usually have some folks on here like Keenan Forney, former Falcons guard. He usually provides some excellent player perspective to everything because he's been there in the locker room. We've got a lot of other great guests that come on frequently, like Eric Robinson. Sometimes get #DaveMeat. I I know you guys are interested in that. So
the tips are going to be out of control.
Yeah, I know when Dave Meat shows up. Yeah, well, maybe you have to make that a Patreon backer, bonus. You get to ask unlimited access to hashtag Dave Meat. But yeah, thank you guys again for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Subscribe and like if you don't mind. We do appreciate that. We will see you guys on Wednesday night to preview this Thursday night game, and we will go from there. Again, thank you to everyone that chipped in. Clarity A1, George Costanza, Murray Best. Thank you all for your support, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We appreciate you guys a lot. All right, until Wednesday, guys, enjoy the rest of your football Sunday. We will talk to you then. Have a great night.